Imagine discovering that the food you trust most has been quietly rewriting your cravings for years. You reach for a simple snack, yet something deeper stirs, a pull far stronger than simple hunger. This is not weakness, because your brain responds to ultra-processed food with ancient survival reflexes. Inside your skull, reward circuits ignite instantly, lighting up as if danger and delight arrive together. Food engineers understand this architecture, crafting flavors that slip past your natural sense of control. They call it the bliss point, the perfect ratio of sugar, salt, and fat for maximum pleasure. At this precise ratio, dopamine surges into the nucleus accumbens, your inner engine of desire. The National Institutes of Health compares this spike to patterns seen in mild addictive behaviors. Your brain begins anticipating the sensation, not the nourishment, fueling cravings detached from real need. This is why one harmless bite can unfold into an entire empty bag before awareness returns. But taste is only half the trick, because texture manipulates your biology just as powerfully. Ultra-processed foods are crafted to dissolve quickly, giving your jaw almost nothing meaningful to do. Without the mechanical work of chewing, satiety signals to your hypothalamus arrive slow and confused. Your stomach expands, yet the brain remains unconvinced, whispering that more food is still required. This disconnect is the quiet heart of the paradox, easy to enter yet difficult to escape. And this paradox is not theoretical, because Kevin Hall at the NIH measured its real effects. In his controlled metabolic ward study, participants eating unlimited ultra-processed meals consumed significantly more calories. Their hunger did not increase, proving the body's instincts were being overridden, not accurately informed. You see the pattern now, a biological shortcut that modern food exploits faster than evolution can adapt. For the first few days, it feels harmless, even comforting, as flavors become emotional routine. But beneath this comfort, something older begins shifting. A system designed long before packaged foods existed. Your microbiome senses the imbalance immediately, reacting before your conscious mind notices anything unusual. Beneficial bacteria lose their fiber-rich fuel, while sugar-loving species quietly multiply in the shadows. This hidden migration inside your gut marks the true beginning of the month-long transformation ahead. Because if the brain is the first to be deceived, the gut is always the first to suffer. And once this inner ecosystem starts to change, the effects reach far beyond cravings or appetite. What unfolds next is not just about digestion, but about mood, metabolism, and even your sense of self. May think the discomfort after processed meals is normal, but your gut remembers differently. Deep inside your intestines, trillions of microbes live as an ancient ecosystem older than humanity itself. These microbes rely on fibers from whole foods, their preferred language for communicating safety and balance. But ultra-processed meals arrive stripped of fiber, leaving your microbiome confused, hungry, and unprotected. Within days, beneficial species like lactobacillus and bifidobacteria begin to shrink in population. They depend on prebiotic fibers, and without them, their colonies weaken like forests losing sunlight. Meanwhile, sugar-loving microbes flourish wildly, feeding on simple carbohydrates that flood your digestive tract. This shift tilts the firmicutes to bacteroidetes ratio, a pattern repeatedly linked to metabolic dysfunction. Research published in Nature shows this imbalance can emerge shockingly fast, sometimes within 72 hours. But the real twist begins when these starving microbes turn toward their last available food source. In the absence of fiber, certain species begin consuming the mucus layer, protecting your intestinal wall. This protective barrier, normally thick and resilient, starts thinning under their desperate biochemical nibbling. As the barrier weakens, microscopic gaps open, allowing bacterial fragments to seep into your bloodstream. One of these fragments is LPS, lipopolysaccharide, a molecule known to trigger systemic inflammation. Scientists often call LPS a metabolic spark, capable of igniting immune responses across your entire body. You might interpret this spark as bloating, fatigue, or strangely inconsistent digestion after processed meals. But your gut is not malfunctioning. It is signaling distress in the only language it knows. This inflammatory ripple travels upward, sending quiet warnings to your brain through the gut-brain axis. Many describe this as brain fog, the subtle yet unsettling haze that steals clarity and motivation. It is not just in your head, because your microbes influence neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA directly. When they suffer, mood stability becomes fragile, as if your emotional foundation suddenly shifts beneath you. And here lies the deeper paradox. Your gut ecosystem collapses even while your plate looks full. Ultra-processed food feeds your appetite, yet starves the very organisms that sustain long-term health. This internal famine sets the stage for more profound metabolic confusion in the days ahead. Because once your microbiome shifts, your hormones, cravings, and energy cycles inevitably follow its new rhythm. Before we continue, if you've been enjoying this video so far, leave a comment with 1, so I know this content is valuable to you. And so we can keep creating meaningful videos that you won't want to miss. You finish a 1,000-calorie processed meal, yet an hour later, your stomach growls with unsettling urgency. This sensation feels irrational, but it is the predictable outcome of a deeper biochemical misfire. Your blood sugar rises rapidly after ultra-processed foods, flooding your circulation with instant glucose. The pancreas reacts defensively, releasing a sharp burst of insulin to pull sugar out quickly. This hormonal spike clears glucose so fast that your levels crash lower than before eating. Scientists call this reactive hypoglycemia, a plunge that creates shaking, cravings, and sudden irritability. You interpret it as hunger, but your cells interpret it as emergency energy shortage. This is why processed foods feel filling for minutes, yet strangely empty just moments afterward. But the twist is not just the insulin crash. It is the silent resistance building inside you. Chronic inflammation from microbiome shifts makes your brain less responsive to leptin, the satiety hormone. Your fat cells release leptin normally, but the hypothalamus struggles to hear its calming signal. This is leptin resistance, the quiet illusion that convinces your brain the body is starving. Meanwhile, visceral fat continues secreting inflammatory cytokines, deepening the brain's confusion about true energy stores. You feel compelled to eat again, not because of need, but because your hormonal compass is broken. This is the paradox of abundance, where high-calorie meals coexist with cellular-level malnutrition. Ultra-processed foods deliver energy without micronutrients, leaving mitochondria starving for essential cofactors. Magnesium, zinc, and B vitamins act as metabolic switches, but they rarely exist in processed meals. Without these switches, your Krebs cycle struggles, generating weak energy that fades as quickly as it appears. This is why fatigue follows you like a shadow, even when your calories seem more than adequate. The body stores excess glucose as fat, yet cells remain underpowered, craving true nourishment. These mixed signals create a biochemical tug-of-war, where appetite rises while vitality quietly declines. People often describe this phase as always hungry, never satisfied, an eerily accurate emotional summary. And for individuals with insulin resistance, this pattern accelerates faster and hits harder than expected. The pancreas works overtime, insulin stays elevated, and fat-burning pathways shut down completely. In this trapped state, the body pleads for nutrients while receiving nothing but empty energy. But the consequences extend beyond hunger or fatigue, reaching upward toward your brain and joints. It often begins with something small, a morning where your joints feel heavier than usual. You shake it off, blaming age, stress, or a bad night's rest without asking deeper questions. But your body rarely whispers without reason, and these early hints are worth paying attention to. So let me ask you directly, have you felt this quiet heaviness after days of processed eating? Because inside your bloodstream, tiny biochemical sparks are already igniting a wider internal fire. Lipopolysaccharides leaking from the damaged gut lining activate immune cells with surprising intensity. These activated cells release cytokines, chemical messages that spread inflammation far beyond your gut. They reach your muscles, joints, bloodstream, and eventually your brain's delicate communication networks. This is where many people first notice the shift, the subtle fog that clouds ordinary thinking. Have you ever stared at a familiar task and felt strangely disconnected from your usual clarity? Scientists call this neuroinflammation, a quiet interference that muffles signals between neighboring neurons. Ultra-processed foods intensify this interference through ages formed during industrial heating and frying. These ages latch onto proteins, making tissues stiffer and accelerating premature cellular aging. If your knees ache more after several packaged meals, this stiffening process may already be unfolding. Inside your hippocampus, inflammation suppresses BDNF, the molecule your brain depends on for learning. With declining BDNF, memory feels less stable, and thoughts move with an uncharacteristic slowness. You may even find yourself forgetting simple words, noticing gaps that were never there before. These are not personal failings, they are physiological signals asking you to look beneath the surface. Meanwhile, oxidative stress rises, draining your energy and leaving fatigue that sleep rarely fixes completely. This fatigue feels different, deeper, as if your vitality has slipped several steps behind your intention. But the effects reach further still, because inflammation does not spare the emotional centers of the brain. Multiple cohort studies link high UPF diets to heightened anxiety and depressive symptoms through inflammatory pathways. If your mood fluctuates more violently after processed heavy weeks, your biology may already know why. So let me ask one more question, because your answer might help someone reading the comments. Have you ever connected these emotional dips with what you were eating, even if only intuitively? Recognizing the pattern is the first quiet step toward reclaiming balance from this invisible internal fire. And the hopeful truth is this: inflammation softens the moment your body receives a true chance to heal. When you finally decide to step away from ultra-processed foods, your body does not celebrate immediately. Instead, it trembles, resists, and protests as if you have taken away something essential. This reaction surprises many people, so let me ask you honestly, have you felt this rebellion before? The headache that creeps behind your eyes, the irritability that comes from nowhere, the sudden fatigue. These sensations are not signs of failure. They are evidence that your brain is recalibrating its chemistry. For years, dopamine spikes from ultra-processed foods set your reward circuits to an unnaturally high baseline. To protect itself, the brain reduced dopamine receptors, lowering sensitivity to everyday pleasures. Now, without UPF's artificial stimulation, dopamine levels fall back to normal, but receptors remain reduced. This gap creates the discomfort you feel, a temporary dysphoria while your biology repairs its sensitivity. And here lies the twist: your cravings are not hunger, they are neurological withdrawal signals. Your stomach may be stable, yet your brain whispers urgently, craving the chemical highs it remembers. Many people mistake this whisper as weakness, but it is actually a marker of healing unfolding. Meanwhile, your liver begins celebrating quietly as fructose intake finally decreases after weeks of overload. High fructose corn syrup once burdened your liver with constant fat processing demands, pushing it toward inefficiency. Now, with fewer sugar-based inputs, hepatic stress softens, and energy regulation begins returning to balance. Your pancreas also breathes easier, producing less insulin as blood sugar spikes become less chaotic. This calmer hormonal environment is the first sign that metabolic flexibility is slowly returning. But healing is not linear, so expect moments where cravings feel louder and willpower feels fragile. If this has happened to you, know that countless others have walked through the same turbulence. Your comment might help someone feel less alone during the hardest days of their reset journey. The gut joins this healing effort too, rebuilding mucus layers thinned during weeks of fiber deprivation. As prebiotic fibers return, beneficial microbes awaken, redistributing themselves like returning citizens to a damaged city. This microbial restoration often brings bloating, gas, or pressure as populations reorganize and stabilize. You may wonder if this discomfort means something is wrong, but it usually means repair has begun. Your body is not punishing you, it is renegotiating its internal chemistry with remarkable precision. And as dopamine stabilizes, insulin quiets, and microbes reclaim territory, something profound approaches. By the time a full month passes, your body no longer hides the truth behind processed eating. Every system touched during this journey begins speaking more clearly, revealing patterns impossible to ignore. Your brain tells its story through shifting cravings, unstable rewards, and the fading pleasure of familiar foods. Your gut tells another, through inflammation, microbial loss, and the slow erosion of its protective barrier. Your hormones tell theirs too, through crashes, surges, and the confusion between real hunger and chemical desire. So, let me ask you gently, can you sense now how far-reaching these changes truly are? Because eating ultra-processed foods for a month is not just a dietary choice. It is a neurological event. It rewrites dopamine pathways, altering how you chase satisfaction long before you realize anything has shifted. It reshapes your microbiome, weakening the communities that protect your immunity, metabolism, and emotional balance. It destabilizes your metabolic rhythm, teaching your body to expect highs and lows instead of steady energy. And the most surprising part is this: none of these changes announce themselves loudly at first. They unfold quietly, subtly, like threads, loosening in the fabric of your internal stability. But here is where the story turns, because your biology also carries a remarkable capacity for renewal. When real food returns, taste recalibration begins, and sweetness from natural sources feels strangely vivid again. Neuroplasticity awakens, allowing dopamine receptors to regain sensitivity as reward circuits finally normalize. Your gut receives its first true nourishment in weeks, letting beneficial microbes begin their slow migration back. Short-chain fatty acids rise again, calming inflammation and supporting the delicate dialogue between your gut and brain. And your energy, once tethered to spikes and crashes, steadies into a rhythm that feels almost forgotten. Many people describe this moment as coming home to themselves, recognizing clarity they did not know they lost. If you have ever felt that shift before, your experience could help someone else in the comments. Because healing does not begin with perfection. It begins with awareness, the quiet knowledge of what your body needs. The science behind this month-long experiment reveals both vulnerability and strength woven into human biology. Ultra-processed foods can pull you off balance quickly, yet real nourishment can guide you back just as steadily. Your body does not demand purity, only consistency, the gentle 80-20 rhythm supported by countless medical experts. And if this journey has shown anything, it is that your biology remembers balance the moment you offer it. So start where you are, with one simple real meal, and let your body rebuild its truth from there. Hope this video brings value to you. See you in the next one.